Loki, Princess Lagian, what exquisite timing you have. Shall we retire to the baths? I'm so grimy. I wish you'd let me take care of you and your darling little sister. I can take care of Levitine, and I'll also take care of anyone who lays a hand on her. Consider yourself warned. So, no bath then? I suspect an ulterior motive. So what? The king seems pleased enough with my assistance. If you would like to know what I really want, I'll give you a riddle to solve. If you get it right, I'll reveal everything. I have little doubt you'd throw away everything if the mood struck you. Darling, I'd no idea you'd taken such an interest in me. I'm touched, but I'm afraid we're out of time. There are some adorable brides who I'm aching to meet. Where are you going now? Oh, never mind that, dear. It's just one of my little secrets. Yeah, that's kind of a cool take on the story there. I mean, you don't really have like Mass March showing up. This is obviously like a private conversation. If it's not a total like first person story, there always tends to be some sort of dramatic irony between the villains involved. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's talk about the seals. I can give you guys some advice there on what you should prioritize and such. So as you guys know, we have Marth given to us at 1000 score. It seems like they keep lowering this threshold, but that's a good thing, especially for this account, which doesn't even have any of the bonus units. So that'll be really good for me to pick them up and just come into here and get my instant point boost. First off, we have Attack Defense 1. After that is Speed Smoke. We get ourselves a free Wind Blessing. You get your 5-star Marth at 15k. And then what is probably for most people, Fire Formation, one of the best seals here. I think all three seals have a lot of merit. I wanted to kind of touch on them real quick. First off, we have Attack Defense 1, Speed Smoke, and Fire Formation. Now, for most people, I would recommend if you don't have any Flyer Mages that you don't bother upgrading Flyer Formation. And even if you did have a Flyer Mage, these types of seals, Guidance 2, they don't need to be upgraded more than the second level. Most of the time, the units will not drop under 50%, where they will be like you can use it a few times in a match where you're not like under 50%. And I've never felt like being under 50% with guidance has hit me really badly. So you kind of apply that to Fire Formation as well. Since it's an HP threshold skill, it doesn't need to be something like, oh my god, I got upgraded to level 3. So if you have the spare coins, then yeah, getting it up to level 2 is usually enough. But that's, again, you should only really use it on Flyer Mages. There's a lot of synergy there, especially if you combine it with Hidden Run or Drag Back on other melee flyers, where the unit goes in, hits, then it goes into the range of a Flying Mage. The Flying Mage is able to teleport in and then do some really crazy things. If you guys are familiar with Halloween, it's like the Grimoire effect, where you're pretty much just teleporting in and hitting people. It's crazy good mobility. Combine it with like a Blarblade Mage, Gromblade Mage, or Halloween herself with Roarblade, and you got yourself a lot of value there for having great plays. Flyers always appreciate this sort of skill, and if you have that Flyer Mage with a lot of melee flyers, especially using hidden run stuff, then you really appreciate upgrading Flyer Formation first. But even then, you probably don't even need to upgrade it to 3 unless you're going to be doing arenas where the score counts. For most people though, I think I would recommend upgrading Speed Smoke as the first thing, and it would be up to level 3. One of the most beginner friendly things you can do is actually just upgrading Speed Smoke to 3, and if you have Braveland, which most people do, if you've started the game, you know, just to kind of clear as much content as you can as a new player without focusing competitively, combining Attack Smoke and Speed Smoke on Braveland is going to get you a lot of value on completing most content in the game. It's really good both for follow-ups and defensively. Like you're going to be able to take hits, things won't double you, your units obviously can follow up and clean up really well. So double smoke from Braveland is one of the most like staple things you can think of, but it doesn't just end there, of course. If you're using like a dagger user, if you're using someone like Kaze who comes with attack smoke, again, you give them a speed smoke and you got some really good synergy there. And again, it doesn't really end there as well. I mean, you can pretty much put this on a lot of units, especially like enemy phase tanks. Think of like a Speed Noe, for instance. You give her like Speed Smoke, and she will be able to enemy phase a lot of units, and then they can't really double her back. So again, really good stuff. Now, I think this is probably your most underrated seal. I think it's going to be really good, not for arena scoring because it's not going to reach that 240 SP seal, but I think it's really good if you're farming, for instance. There's going to be a lot of niche cases where the unit that's farming, like HM farming on some Ground Hero battle maps, might need that extra defense and that extra attack all at once to kind of like secure the farm, so to speak. So yeah, I don't think this should be slept on. I think it's a really good seal. 2 attack, 2 defense is definitely more stats given than attack 3 or defense 3. It gives you 4 stats instead of 3. So yeah, definitely don't sleep on this and go for it. Especially if you have the extra coins. If I was to summarize it though, I'd probably say Speed Smoke to 3 for most people, then Gaia Fire Formation to 2, and Attack Defense is the 3rd one, but can be situationally pretty good. So let's do a run of how to set up a Tempest Trials team, because I get this a lot as well. How do you set up like a good Tempest Trials team? We're going to talk about actual manual setup, manual team fighting rather than auto battling. I'll do an auto battle farming guide probably another time, but I want to focus on more or less like what is the ideal kind of stuff to do when you're doing a manual farm. Okay, with PvE stuff, I highly recommend just going for as many distant counter users as you can use and the strongest that you have. So for instance, for those of you that started off with Legendary Ike, Fjorm, and such, like a beginner friendly team is not going to get any easier than this, right? You pretty much use Fjorm, Legendary Ike, a dancer like Olivia, and a healer. So you can bring in like Sarah, for instance. The reason you can do something like this is because you don't really need more than 2 colors. 2 colors enough will do it really well. Fjorm can run like a QR seal, which most people should have. I can run QR in the B slot. The dancer just gives you options to player phase, and a healer is something you just need when creating a basic team comp, just to sustain through the rounds, because if you don't have a healer, then you can't make it. Healer is really vital. Distant counter users really useful as well, just because you can cover most matchups that way. If you didn't want to use a unit from this team comp, it would obviously be Olivia. You could venture for a green. If you had a strong green unit, then this is where I would put. But honestly, if I didn't want to use Olivia, I'd probably just use like a 5-star Anna, and that would be good enough, especially since mine has like Noaton and Wings of Mercy. So if you had a 5-star Anna, this is pretty much your basic team comp, and it should be able to clear it just fine. If you're, been playing a while, don't worry too much about HM farming on the first few maps. I always recommend just, using your best team, even if they're capped out, to secure as many points as you can, so you're being as efficient as possible with your stamina rather than the HM. HM can always be farmed in Ground Hero battles, but when it comes to Tempest Trials, you want to try to maximize your points as much as possible. So for me, and it pretty much comes down to using some Xander, Wendy, Masmarth, and Exora. So we're going to get them quickly set up, and we'll jump in. I'm going to try it out. See how these maps affect us. For Exora, I just pretty much give her as much support as she can. She's using Drive Res in her default kit. Masmarth is going to use... Actually, yeah, I think I will use Legendary Ike instead of Masmarth, since he'll be far more useful. Distant defense there. Close defense on her, but going to give her the Carrot Lance to sustain with Bonfire. In fact, mobility is very important, so if you do end up having something like an armor, I highly recommend using armored boots. If you're not able to escape danger, you could end up losing your units or making really awkward plays. So instead, I'll give close defense to Xander, and since he has renewal anyways, he'll be able to sustain pretty well. The only change I'll make to him is ensuring that I give him the the speed, and then Ardent Sacrifice to make him as a healer, just in case the other units need that sort of support. The only thing I'm not really getting here is the defense tactic out of Legendary Ike, but everything else is pretty much good to go. Unfortunately, I don't have a bonus unit, so make sure when you're making a team comp, you always need to make sure you have that in the comp. So for instance, I recommended, having Anna in there, but you can't really do that if you needed some sort of if you needed a bonus unit. So you get the new Groommarth, and the new Groommarth is a green unit. You can fit into the team comp fairly well. I would go with Anna here if I didn't have a bonus unit, but I have pretty decent units here, so we're just gonna run with this. I actually don't have Marth, Tharja, or Ninian or Snacky, so there's nothing I can do there. We jump in and get it done.
I won't lose.
So Amelia's not going to be able to move. We can pretty much go into Katarina's range. Let's bring Xander into range of Tana.
Of course.
Where is this scene?
The beauty of defense tactic, though, is we do still buff up Wendy this way. Jagan has low res, so he just dies. And we use Legendary Ike to finish off Amelia.
On the way.
I won't
My
lose.
turn?
The most important thing to realize when you are doing Tempest Trials is you need to have some sort of player phase capabilities or something to clear the turns as fast as possible, because since it is based on a low turn count, you don't want to just run with 4 enemy phase units and hope for the best, because if you do that, then you will get a lower score. And time is more important than survivability, so if you had the choice between both, make sure you had to sacrifice your units instead. Meanwhile, Summer Xander just decides to break the triangle, because why not?
Of course.
Oh. Let's move.
My turn?
Lose.
I've never really given a full video like this for YouTube to answer questions about Tempest Trials and how exactly you can put together a decent team comp to get things done, or what my thoughts on seals were. So again, hopefully that can help out some of you.
My turn?
It's generally just the goal.
Let's move.
Certainly.
So far I can tell you that most Tempest Trials end up being like this. They're not difficult. Once you've done thousands of them, you'll realize
Of
it's
course.
nothing too hard.
Turn?
Most of the battles just come down to color advantage and putting your units in range of those color advantage, and making sure your team is balanced. You have a blue, green, and red, and you're almost good to go. This is why distant counter users are very important, though, because they can match up against units whether they are ranged or melee.
Let us sing. Yes?
Like in this case, we have Olwen there coming in to hit Xander. I could have used Legendary Ike. I just decided to use Xander instead, so I could charge up his special and then kill Klein, putting Xander in range of both blue units like this, buffing up with Wendy's ally support and double spurs, and then everybody comes in and just dies to Xander. So sometimes you don't have to use the color advantage, but in general, it's just a matter of making sure you use as many distant counter users as possible so that they can have as many matchups as possible that work. Like in this case, we have Stall coming in on the left here. We just use Wendy, and on the right side, we'd have Lisa. So again, I just use Summer Xander on the right side, Wendy on the left.
My turn?
We have Ike to follow up next turn against Camilla, and Xander's gonna kill Lisa. If you have a green distant counter user, it makes things a lot easier. Just because, it's a matter of having a distant counter user of every color, really. It's not specifically the fact that Summer Xander is here, but now we have 2 green, so I can just use Ike here, and he takes care of both Camilla and well, Camilla decided she wanted to chase X-Zora because X-Zora has 22 defense. So Xander comes in here and kills. The most recent Tempest Trials change buffs all your units, so all my units here have like +4 to all stats, +10 HP, so they're extremely powerful. Like my Wendy here
Certainly.
is +9, my Xander is +7.
Hot.
The stat lines are insane.
Let's
Ike
move.
is at 51, 56, 34, 39, and even Zora has
On the way.
a pretty decent stat line as a dancer. So they've made it progressively easier
turn?
to succeed here, and you know you really
Let us
shouldn't
sing.
struggle
What
too
next?
much
Where
as
is
long as
this
you've
scene?
invested
Yes.
into a main arena. Like if you work on a main arena core team, you could basically just put them in here and have a really easy time.
Of course. My turn?
Got gravitied.
Certainly. On the way.
The thing with gravity
Yes.
though is once you dance, the gravity effect is gone.
My
So
turn?
we just
I
dance
won't lose.
Wendy, she goes in,
Hot.
and then Wendy just finishes off the unit she had because she already had the armored boots effect. We don't want to trust Ike
What next?
because he's a clown,
Yes?
so
Of course.
let's use Wendy.
Certainly.
Where is this seat? Oh. Let's move.
I,
Where is this
I
seat?
think I'll use both.
Hot.
Just keep Zora out of range of Ray because Ray is going to end up having super huge triangle advantage there.
My turn?
Since Xander's running
Where is
renewal,
this seat?
he's not going to have trouble there. But something as well to notice is when you're doing Tempest Trials, the special charge it carries over from match to match. So you see now that Summer Xander has his bonfire charged. I'm not going to waste
Where
it.
is this seat?
I'm not going to waste it on Soleil. I'm just going to have
What
Ike
next?
charge his special and keep the bonfire on Xander so that on the next match he might use it. And so the final match, we have Loki here as the final boss, having her signature Thok staff, which means that she has Wrathful effective. They've given her Brazen Attack speed, no big surprise there. They've even given her Restore. So they've given her as many healer advantages as possible. But it's not going to help. We're going to try to use Wendy to just solo as many things as possible on the right side here with a dance.
Yes? Let us sing. My turn?
Hot. Oh. I won't lose.
So she's obviously not going to die because Wendy has QR. Easy kill. Wendy still has bonfire charge there to kill Sully as well. Morgan didn't even decide to attack because when it comes down to rallying, like using an assist skill or doing less than 5 damage, they choose to rally rather than attack. So now we can leave Wendy where she is, so she'll be in range of Morgan, and Est is in range of Summer Xander.
Where is this
Once
seat?
we move here, the problem is we want to try
Let's move.
to kill Tiki.
Of course.
So maybe we'll
I
move
won't
Ike
lose.
into position to do so. Although I feel like Adult Tiki will move right, or she'll choose to rally, which is also fine. In most cases, you don't need to worry about some crazy hidden skills that enemy units have. When it comes to their B skills, oh, okay, just as I say that, I see Swordbreaker on Tiki. That's a big surprise there. When it comes to skills in general, they don't really give any big surprises to units. Occasionally you see something like Swordbreaker there, which actually would give Ike some
next?
trouble. It'll become a speed check with Quick Riposte active, so I can still use Ike to bait out
I
Tiki.
won't
On the
lose.
way.
Let's
But you're not going to see anything like Wings of Mercy anymore. They've removed that from one of the more original Tempest Trials. It used to be on like every unit, well not every unit, but some units, and it would catch people by surprise. But those sort of things have changed. So now that we've gone Guru Marth, you should be, even without a bonus unit, you should be getting enough points to get them right away within the first match as long as you aced it. So there it is, a bunch of orbs, a bunch of rewards. Even without a bonus unit, we still get 1500 points, which is the difference of like 600 points, I think. So it's not too bad. It's only the one match you gotta do without it. At that point, what I'd like to do is just level him up. Even if he's a 4-star, I'll bring him up to like level 30 or so, just with shards and crystals. And like that, we're able to use him right away until we can get the 5-star Marth. So, yeah, the reason I don't really use him in Training maps or special maps is again because I want to be efficient with the stamina. If you're chasing ranks even at all, you should be not using your stamina outside of it and training your special maps. And I think the most value out of your shards and crystals is right now. Use them, use all your stamina within Tempest Trials, and use any resources like shards and crystals now so you don't waste stamina in the other modes, and as a result you're not wasting stamina potions. So yeah, I guess that was kind of like my short guide on this particular Tempest Trials. I don't think it's that difficult, especially since all these most recent changes they've made to Tempest Trials, with it being easier using whatever units you want. You pretty much can walk in with like plus 20 units and have a really good time. So thanks again, and peace out.